everyone, it's Jerry Ann with scrapandstampcreations.blogspot.com, and as promised, I am doing a video for the cutting guides for the show on Ustream at Jerry Ann's scrapbooking show, using the balloon ride paper from Close to My Heart. You can find all of the information in order to put these pages together over on my blog, which is scrapandstampcreations.blogspot.com, and that's where the still photos of the cutting guides are. I will be using the balloon ride paper, which is on page 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41 of the Close to My Heart catalog. I will also be showing you which pages I'm doing with which. I'll be using the stamp set Give a Lift D1581. I'm hoping to use C1578 Camper Crazy, as well as C1575 on these on this 8-page layout class. I also am using the Workshop on the Go for the Balloon Ride collection, which includes an exclusive stamp set called Balloon Ride D1590. You cannot purchase this separately. It includes the Balloon Ride assortment, which is Z3003. These are available separately, as well as the Sparkle Flourishes, which is Z1812. I also will be using the Balloon Ride Compliments X7180C. And again, the Workshop on the Go, which is G1075. So all of those will show up in the description with the video. I also pulled a few other things out of my stash that I plan on using, just to let you know. So I want you to go and find this stuff in your stash, and if you don't have it, then these are the numbers for you to be able to purchase on my website. Z1263, which are these bitty sparkles. I'm really loving these. These are really cool. They are called Aqua Dots, and there's 108 pieces in here, Z1853. And then there's an assortment of sparkles, again 108 pieces, Z1753. I think I'm going to use this sparkle collection as well, which is 48 circles and 24 squares in 4 different sizes, Z1104. I also have the neutral metallic baker's twine, Z1921. So these are things that are from my stash that I've had, and I'm hanging on to them, and I'm planning on using them. So that's kind of exciting. So the plan today specifically is to just cut the paper and sort them into our working 8-page layout page protector. So, as many of you did my class last month in February 2014, I encourage you to put together 5 page protectors, tie them with a bow, whatever you need, and slip your base pages in. Now, I am using craft base pages, and that comes from, these are from Close to My Heart. I love the craft 12 by 12. These are not included in the Workshop on the Go kit. You have to have your own individual base pages. But if you want to use what I'm using, these are Z1375. There's 24 sheets of craft, and it's that really nice thick craft paper that reminds me of grocery bags. So I'm walking everybody through. So I encourage you to have your 5 pages full of your 8 base pages, and then to take a sticky note and label each page. So in the cutting guide, page 1, when I do the layouts, actually is on 2nd page. And So I've got page 1 and page 2. And then, of course, page 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So those are the pages. This is the cutting guide that comes with the Workshop on the Go. And I do not think that we are using this layout. But the cutting guide is for specifically these layouts. If you use the cutting guide that comes in the paper pack. But I encourage you again to go over to my website, which is scrapandstampcreations.blogspot.com, and you will be able to find the paper and everything for this project. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to show you which papers I decided to use for which piece. So this is pattern paper number 1. Piece 1. This is the cutting guide, and I'm going to be using the balloon paper for it. We have pattern paper number 1, piece 2, and again, it is the same balloon paper out of your kit. Pattern paper number 2, page 1, I'm going to be using the blue scripted side of this page. And that is pattern paper number 2, page 1. And again, we will use pattern paper number 2, page 2 is the blue. You'll notice that on some of them they say flip side, and so that would be this pattern. Okay? And then we have pattern paper number 3, page 1, and we're using this really pretty peachy brown cashmere creme brulee sorbet kind of paper, and on the back is a really nice dot. So this is pattern paper number 3, page 1, and again for page 2. Then we also have a piece of, I'm trying to think what color this is, crystal blue, for solid cardstock number 4. I have these out of order. So this is crystal blue for solid cardstock number 4. I have solid cardstock number 3. I have, I want to say that this is slate, I think. Well, you know what? We'll just have to find out. Is it slate or whisper? This looks like it might be whisper cardstock. This is whisper cardstock, guys. Whisper color cardstock. For solid color cardstock number 3. Solid cardstock color number 2 is, and I want to get these right, is cashmere. And you will need, this is for solid color cardstock number 2, page 1, and page 2. So this is solid cardstock color page 1 and 2. That's cashmere. And then for solid color cardstock 1, page 1 and 2, the color is saddle. And that is 12 sheets of paper. You also have left over to do your stamping and things like that on 2 pieces of colonial white cardstock and 1 piece of juniper. So these are extra, and they're to do our stamping or matting or any of that, or if we run into wanting a different color on some other page. All right, so those are the cardstock colors that I've chosen for the different pieces. And now I'm going to go ahead and get started on cutting and sliding those into each and every one of my pages so that you guys can get these done before our class tomorrow on March 31st. All right, so I'm going to set my pages down here. Move my coffee so it doesn't spill. And we're going to start with, again, pattern paper number 1, piece 1. which is our balloon paper, and this has some direction to it, so make sure when you're cutting it you look at where that piece is going to go. I know that this page in piece number 1 is going to be a nice long piece across the top, so I want to make sure that my page is going the right way. So my first cut on this one is going at 5 1/4. My second cut is at 2, and my third cut with this one is at 1 3/4. This piece is extra and goes in the front of our little book that we go, so that we know that this is something to do. All right, so this big piece is page number 1. Our 2-inch piece is on page number 2, and the 1 1/4 piece is on page number 3. So that takes care of our first one. Our second pattern piece of paper for cardstock this is pattern paper number 1, piece 2. And we again are going to make sure that we have our direction because our balloons are going up and down. So we want to make sure to cut those properly. So our first cut is at 4. And our second cut is at 4. And then this piece gets cut down to 6 inches. And then this piece gets cut again at 1 inch by 4 inches. These pieces here are extra and go in the front of our pack. And this piece here, so these are like this from our page. So this first one goes for page 7. So of course we flip it in here as well. This one goes on page 8. And then this one goes on page 8. Okay, so that takes care of our second piece of paper. We now are doing, this is for pattern paper number 2, page 1, and we are doing our very nice blue scripted paper. You guys are like getting a glare out of my window here. All right, the very first thing we're going to do is take the zip strip right off of this, which is 1/2 inch. So go ahead and just cut that off, because we'll use that for one of our pages. And we're going to cut this at 11 inches. That's going to give us a 1-inch piece here. Nope, I take that back. We're going to cut this at 10 inches. 10 inches, because we need a 2-inch piece. So do not cut at 1, cut at 2. So this gives us a 2-inch piece. And we need this to be at 11 inches. We're going to just lay that on our pieces here. Alright, so I now need an 8 by 10 piece. So we have a 10-inch piece now, so we've got to cut an 8. We also need 2 pieces at 1/2 inch by 10. So we're going to go ahead and cut those off. And now we need a 9.5 by 2-inch piece. So we're going to go ahead and cut at 2 inches and at 9.5. So as you guys can all see, I've put that together there, and I'm going to go ahead and put it all in my book again, because it's all pre-done. Page number 5. page number 1. The 2 little pieces are for page 5 and 6. And then the larger piece here is for page number 2. These are extra, and where I store them again is in the front of my book. I'm just going to say hi to the ladies who are joining me. I'm just trying to get through the cutting guides because I promised a video up on my blog today. So I want to make sure to get that up for you guys so you can walk through and do what you want and everything. So I'm kind of being a little quiet, but I appreciate you all being around. And once I get this done, then I'll be more than happy to chat with you guys. This is pattern paper number 2, page 2, again, the blue scripted piece. And we're again going to cut off our zip strip here. And we're going to cut this down to 8 to 10 inches. And we're going to cut at 8 inches. And we're going to cut at 4 inches. Or actually, this is 4 inches, so we're going to cut at 2. And that gives us our pieces there. Okay, so again, this is extra and these are extra. Going to go right into the front of our pages here. This big piece goes to page number 6. Right. And this little piece here is extra. And this little piece, we're doing the flip side for page number 1. All right, so we're moving on to page number 3. Pattern paper number 3, page 1, is this very pretty sorbet that's got a really nice crackle of cashmere in it. And we are going to make our first cut at 8 inches. Our next cut is at 1 inch. Our next cut is at 1 inch. Is it Julie?
I don't know, I don't have a phone here. There it is. Hello? Hi. Yeah, it's Julie.
Yeah, just tell her to come.
She said, yeah, just come over.
I'm in the middle of recording a class.
Okay. Bye. About half hour.
Could you help her with the shirts when she gets here? They're all upstairs.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Always a working household. All right, so these again are for pattern paper number 3. And this is page 1 of those. And we're going to go ahead again and put them in our little book, which is, this is page number 4. And this is page number 3. And we have for page number 4, we have page number 5. And then these pieces again are extra. All right, we're going to do our second piece, which is again for pattern paper piece number 3, page 2. And that again is the same really nice one. We're going to go ahead and cut at 8 inches or at 7 0.75. So 7 3/4 by 8. And then at 1 1/2 by 10. Okay, and then of course we put them in our pieces. Page 3. 1, 2, page 3. This is an extra piece that goes in the front here. We also have page 6. And again, if you have your little sticky notes, you'll know exactly where to put them in. And these pieces are extra. Again, they go in the front. Just so that we know when we want to cut a border, cut something out, we know where to go find those pieces. All right, this is, let's see, let's go and do the first ones because they're all backwards. Let's see. All right, so this is solid cardstock number 1, page 1. And so what we're going to do is, again, we're using the saddle. And our first cut is going to be at 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then this piece is at 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. This piece we have 5 1/2. I'm going to cut this piece down to 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. And then this one is at 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. And this is kind of how it all cuts apart. So this piece is for page number 2. This is page number 7. This is an extra piece. This is an extra piece. These two little pieces and this little piece are all extras that go in the very front. This is page number 7 and page number 8. So again, we're putting those in our trusty little book. And the front extra pieces go in the very front so that we can use those again as we're looking for things. This is page number, this is solid cardstock number 1, page 2. And again, it is out of the saddle, where our first cut is going to be at 3 3/4 inches. And then we're going to cut this down to 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. We have two pieces that are at 1/2 inch by 12. Now we're going to cut at 4 inches, and we're going to cut this down to 3 inches. 1, and we need 4 of those. 2, 3, and 4. Then this piece gets cut at 2 1/4 and at 2 1/4, and then these pieces become square. So 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 and 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Alright, so here is the cuts for that. So these two pieces go on page number 7. This piece here is an extra. These two pieces go on page number 3 and 4. One on page 3, one on page 4. These 4 pieces go on page number 1. These two pieces go on page number 1 as well. And these pieces are extra that go in the front. Alright, we're doing solid color cardstock number 2, page 1. And this is cashmere, as we found out when we were doing this earlier. Our first cut is at 2 inches by 9 1/2. Our second cut is at 2 3/4. And we're going to do 2 3/4. And we need 4 pieces that size out of this. We're going to cut the next cut at 4 1/2 by 2 1/4. And then at 3 3/4. And I cut that small. No. Nope. I cut that wrong. Did I cut that wrong? 4 1/2. 1, 2, 3 3/4. By 4 1/2. Apparently I measured wrong when I made the cutting guide because that's looking a lot bigger. And then 2 inches. And then these get cut at 1/75. So this is solid cardstock color. Solid color cardstock 2, page 1. This is extra. And so is this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece. This piece across the top goes on page 2. These 3 pieces or 4 pieces go on page 2. These 2 pieces go on page 4. And these 2 pieces go, one goes on page 4 and the other goes on page 3. Okay, so now we also have our solid color cardstock number 2, page 2. And our first cut is going to be at 11 inches. This piece is off to the side. I need to throw these in the front so I don't lose them. And then we need a 2 by 11. So our next cut is at 2 inches. At 2 1/2 inches. At 2 1/2 inches. and at 2.5 inches. And then we have 2 pieces that are at 10.25. So we're going to go ahead and cut this at 10.25. And these are 1/4 inch pieces. They're very tiny. Okay. And then we have 2 pieces, so then we need to cut this down to 10 inches. And 2 more pieces at 1/4. One and 2. And then these are extra. So again, this is solid cardstock number 2. This is page 2. So these pieces are extra and these are extra. They go in the front of our trusty work in progress file. This first piece goes for page number 1. The second piece goes to page number 7. So the next 2 pieces go for page number 7. The last 2.5 inch piece goes to page number 8. The 2 pieces, one of these go for page number 7 and one go for page number 8. So there should be 2 different sizes and one for each. All right, the third piece, we have solid color cardstock number 3. There's only 1 piece for that, and I am using Whisper. Is it Whisper? It's Whisper. And our first cut is at 3 inches. Our next cut is at 1 inch. We have 4 cuts at 1/4 inch. We're going to cut at 2 inches. And then we're going to cut 6 2x2s out of this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to cut at 4.5. And we're going to cut at 6.5. And at 4.5. All right. This is for solid color cardstock number 3. There's only 1 piece. This one goes for number 4, page number 4. This is page number 3. These 4 little pieces, 2 of them go for page 7 and 2 of them go for page 8. These 2x2 squares all go for page number 3. This larger piece down here goes for page number 3. And page number 4. These 2 little pieces are extra and go in the front. And finally, our last piece that we are cutting is our solid color cardstock number 4, and we are using crystal blue. And our first cut is going to be at 7 inches. And we're going to cut at 5 inches. Now, this is a little trickier. I want to make sure I do this right. Okay, so we cut our 5-inch piece here, because this will give me 7. Okay, so what we did is we cut at 7 inches. We cut our 5-inch piece off. We're going to turn our paper 90 degrees and cut at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And this should be 275, which it is. And you're going to cut 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. That one's a little tricky, so you definitely want to measure a couple of times. Now we're going to go also to cut another 275 or 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And our last piece is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So that little piece is kind of tricky. So here's our 7-inch cut right here. So we cut at 7 first. And we got a 7 by 12. You cut at 5 inches. You're going to rotate your paper and then cut at 4 1/4. So this ends up and by 6 1/4. And then you're going to have your 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 and an extra piece here. And then you're going to cut these last 2 pieces with these extra. So that's probably the trickiest part of cutting this whole thing, is just those couple of pieces right there. All right, so this goes in page number 5. This is page number 6. These two are page number 6, and this one's page number 6, and this one's page number 5. And we are now completely cut using our papers that I selected to do the Balloon Ride 8-page layout class, which is available over on my website. For those of you who have the Make It From Your Heart, Volume 2 from Close to My Heart, these layouts are number 4, 6, 11, and 14 in the book. So those are the layouts that we're going to be using. I know that a lot of you do have the books who are following along. So to let you know, these are for layout number 4, 6, 11, and 14. And again, we went through all of the cutting. The rest of this class will be available on my Ustream show tomorrow night, which is March 31st at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be doing the 8-page layout class, using the embellishments, the stamps, those things that we definitely wanted to do. For any of the stamps that have a border cut out of them, I will be using those out of my Colonial White cardstock. So I definitely want you guys to know that those are things that I will have pre-cut out of that. I'm again using the stamp set that comes with it. See, I have all those cut already, and that is D1590. This is only available in the Workshop on the Go. I am going to be using this set of tags, C1575 True to Life. I'm hoping to incorporate these campers in there because I love it, C1578. And then again, the Give It a Lift, D1581. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. If you need to print out your cutting guides, or at least get them drawn up, look at them, use them to do, you can go over to my blog, which is at scrampandstampcreations.blogspot.com. It'll also give you a link to purchase all of the items that we're using in the class. I will get the video up on my website as well, over at Scrap and Stamp Creations. It'll also be over at Stamp and Scrap Creations on Facebook and my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you leave a question if you have any problems. Let me know. Thanks.